Hey everybody, it's Juliette Valle, Miss South Florida Fair 2020, and I'm so excited because today I have Miss Louisiana 2020, Courtney Hammons. Hi, Courtney.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. You look so lovely. And actually, you are my first 2020 title holder I have on the show, which is so exciting. So you can offer a unique perspective to me, but I'm going to ask you the questions I sent you if you're ready.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay. So my first question for you is when and how you got involved with the Miss America organization, and what do you think that you've learned along the way that's helped you become Miss Louisiana?
So I initially began competing in the Miss Louisiana Outstanding Teen competition. So that's, just a little sister program. I don't know if you're familiar. I don't know if you've ever competed in the
Yeah, I did
Outstanding
teen
Teen.
twice. It's a great program.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's just, it's a great recruitment tool for the Miss Louisiana organization and for Miss America. And I first saw it as an opportunity to just showcase my talent. I've been playing the piano since I was 5 years old, and my piano teacher, she actually competed in Miss Louisiana, and she was Miss Tech, which was where I went to college.
Yes, I saw.
And so I remember one day I was like 14 or 15, and I was like, Miss Jeannie, I think I want to compete in a pageant. And that was just so weird for me to even say because I was probably the shyest girl there ever was. I would hide behind my mom. I wouldn't want to speak for myself. And I didn't really like people looking at me. I was very, very, very shy. And she was like, okay, well, let's do it. So that's kind of where it began. And I fell in love with it. I mean, I think anybody that's competed will attest to saying that you definitely are bit with the pageant bug and you're like, okay, I want to keep doing this.
No,
So that's kind of how I start.
it's hard to believe that you were ever shy and like that you don't want people looking at you because now you're literally a beauty queen. But I've heard many, many girls tell me that I was shy or I wanted to develop public speaking skills or it's just something my parents put me in to like get my talent out there and then you developed into a state title holder. So that's really, really awesome. I mean, what a huge arc from like not wanting to be seen to like being
Yeah. Right, to wearing a swimsuit on stage. I'm like, I never in a million years thought I would ever do that. So
This is my first year as a Miss. Well, this past summer competing would have been, I guess, when I get to compete in 2020, it'll be my second year. But I just missed the swimsuit cutoff, so I never did that. But that takes a lot of courage. So I'm kind of glad I missed that. So my second question for you is how many titles did you serve under the Miss Louisiana organization? And how do you think that those years of service impacted you as a person? How do you think they shaped you? And how do you think they prepared you to tackle on your biggest year of service yet as a state title holder?
So I've been competing under the Miss Division since 2016. And initially, I mean, in high school, even, I knew that I wanted to be Miss Louisiana, but
Mhm.
going to Louisiana Tech, they also have a preliminary competition going to Miss Louisiana. And so I always knew that I wanted to be Miss Tech, and then I wanted to be Miss Louisiana. So it's kind of been a rocky road to get me to this point. It wasn't just like I decided one day I'm going to compete and I'm going to, I just won and it was easy breezy. So I actually competed for my university title for 4 years. I competed my
Wow.
freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, won my senior year. And I tell you, that was the most humbling experience of my entire life. But I mean, in order for me to really dive in and want to be Miss Louisiana, I had to win Miss Tech first because like there was always that thing in my back of my mind that was like, well, I can't be Miss Louisiana yet because I haven't been Miss Tech. And so because I have grown up right next to the university, my dad went to Louisiana Tech. I just loved the university and I really wanted to just give back for all the things that it's done for me. So thank God I finally won. And I really think that it grew me as a person because it showed me how to be tenacious. It showed me how to be determined and how to really actually put in some hard work. So, and it really just was sweet when I finally won because I knew that, okay, I can conquer this. So I've been Miss Louisiana Tech, and now I can really push forward and be Miss Louisiana. And that was actually the year that I was first runner up. So I had no reservations, but I mean, to me, I know that there's always a divine purpose, a divine plan for your life. And I just
I
feel like,
agree.
yeah. And so I'm a believer and I totally believe that the Lord just he had me in his hand that year, and he was like, okay, you're going to be first runner up because you need to finish your internship. And so I want to be a dietitian. And so
Yeah.
this last year, I actually was able to finish my internship, and I didn't have to take a year off. And so it just really could not have come at a better opportunity, being Miss Louisiana in this way. It's just been crazy. But yeah, it's just, I think that I'm a true believer that nothing goes wasted. So even those years when I didn't win Miss Tech, or when I didn't win Miss Louisiana, or when I didn't even make the top 10 my first year competing. And I think that those moments are what truly grow you as a person, because
Right.
it's in the moments, the valleys, where you truly are able to say, okay, does not define me, and I am not defined by a crown or by a title. I'm defined by how the setbacks bring forth the comebacks, and bring forth you just as a better person to begin with.
I love that you said that. And, I think it's so inspiring for someone like me to hear that, because I've lost locals before. I had won my first 2 teen ones on my first try. So I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I lost my 3 next ones. And I was very discouraged. I just never thought, oh, I'll never win a Miss Pageant. I'll never be Miss Florida. And I finally won my first Miss Pageant. But I think that those 3 failures made me, like you said, so much more tenacious and appreciate it so much more. But by looking at you, I would have never guessed. You're a beautiful girl, you're very talented and clearly very smart. I probably would have thought, oh, winning this or having this title must have been a breeze for her. But it's nice and it's refreshing to hear a title holder be honest and be like, it wasn't always easy, but I believed God had a plan, and this is my time. I couldn't agree with that more.
Actually, one little nugget of um, I guess information that someone told me the year that I won Miss Tech was, it's the person that you become along the way. It's not necessarily the things that you achieve that are most important. And so I think that I'm thankful for those opportunities and the setbacks, and it's weird to even say that, because you're like, no, I want to always have the glory and always have that crowning moment, and it's just crazy how things actually play out, and how they typically don't go as planned. Because I mean, this
Yeah.
year I was going back to Miss Louisiana, and I am Miss Louisiana, but I didn't get a crowning moment, and it's kind of weird, but
We
I'm
never
thankful.
would have thought. We never could have thought what this year would be what it was. And then on top of that, then you become Miss Louisiana. So you've had like a whirlwind of a year. You've had like quite the journey.
I'm like still in a dream, it's so weird.
So my third question for you is, I have to read this because it's a very long, very official title. You graduated from Louisiana Tech University, a Division I university. When I heard the word tech, I was like, oh, she's smart. With a Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics, yes. And now you're pursuing your Master's of Science in Nutrition, which is in progress, and you're going to graduate in the spring of 2021. Whew, I'm glad I wrote that down. Okay. So that is a very long list. I'm actually very curious as to how you got involved with that career choice. And the second part of that question is, how do you stay on top of such a rigorous career path? My parents are in the medical field, and my mom actually studied nutrition as a young woman. So I know it's a very in-depth, career choice. You have to study a lot. How do you stay on top of that while being Miss Louisiana and managing your internship? How do you stay focused?
Well, I think so. I actually, to answer your first question, like how this all came about and the passion began, was when I was in high school. I was on the dance team, and I knew that I wanted to go to the collegiate level. And at the collegiate level, I mean, you may know, but people wear like half shirts and they're tighter fitting clothing. And I consider myself a very modest person. And so that just kind of already made me very uncomfortable. So I knew that I wanted to not only feel my best, but I wanted to look my best. And so I wanted to do it the right way. I never wanted to starve myself or do something crazy, take crazy pills or whatever. But also in the back of my head was knowing that, okay, I'm going to compete for Miss Tech. And there was at the time a swimsuit competition. And so really knowing all of that kind of was like a motivating factor. And once I started learning about food and nutrition and just the science of it, I was immediately obsessed and hooked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to learn everything that there is to know about nutrition. And I think that's still the case. I still have that passion and fire just to learn about nutrition. And I ended up Louisiana Tech, and I never knew that they even had a program at Louisiana Tech. So they have a bachelor's and they have the internship and then they have a master's. So they have it all. And that's really hard to come by. And it was like right down the road from where I grew up. So it was just really a nice career choice for me because it was just easy, you know, and I never had to really like, it was nothing, it was hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it was like, oh my gosh, I know that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I never knew all the things that it entailed. So, but actually I wanted to tell you a funny story about how it's all kind of come full circle. So not only has the Miss America organization and the Miss Louisiana organization helped me with my career with providing me scholarship dollars, like I'm completely debt free. My master's will be paid.
Yay, that's
And
wonderful.
I know it's just amazing. And I'm so thankful. I mean, and that alone it's been worth it to compete, you know, and
Right.
that's what I would tell somebody if they were on the fence of competing is, okay, hello, the scholarship dollars, you know, and my
Girl, get
parents,
that money
yeah,
because I go to UM. It's expensive, girl. Gotta win something.
and yeah, my parents were like, we're going to keep encouraging you to do this, you know.
Keep competing, girl. Yeah.
So, actually, when I was 15, going back to the Miss Louisiana Outstanding Teen competition, I met Hope Anderson. She was Miss Louisiana 2011. And I remember thinking, okay, well, this is the first Miss Louisiana I've ever met. And so she's amazing for that alone. But she was also had this amazing ability to make me feel like the only person in the room.
Mm.
And I always, you know, kept that with me going forward and wanting to be like her as Miss Louisiana. And come to find out, her grandmother, so her Mimi, I'll refer to her as Mimi, was actually a mentor to my mom when she worked at this company years ago, and she's since retired. And then they reconnected at a retirement party like in 2016 or something. And so Mimi was like talking to my mom, and she said, okay, your daughter, since she wants to be Miss Louisiana, she needs to get connected with my daughter and my granddaughter Hope. And I was like, Hope Anderson? You know, like, of course, like, give me her number. I want to be her best friend. And so actually at this time, so fast forward 2016, sorry, this is a long story, but
No, go ahead.
is a registered dietitian. And so in 2016 was my sophomore year of college, and I was getting into the nitty gritty of being a dietitian, all the nutrition classes, and I needed volunteer hours. So I became her intern and was her intern. Yeah, it's just crazy. Her intern for like 4 years and still help her out here and there. But she has now become like a sister to me, and it would not have been for the Miss Louisiana organization and for my career ambition, wanting to be a dietitian. It's just like it all came full circle. And I always resonated with Hope because she just had that ability, like I said, to make you feel like the only person in the room. And I was just like, I want to be her friend. And it's just so cool how life just has a crazy way of, you know, revisiting you. And I'm just so thankful to have that relationship because of the organization.
God really does have a plan for you, and so does Miss Louisiana. Apparently, they're like giving you all these opportunities. But yeah, I mean, and I like what you said also, the first thing you said, actually, I really want to be on my college's dance team. Of course, everything's postponed, so the tryouts weren't quite the same. But I would really like to do it my junior, senior year. And you want to look and feel your best because pretty much every college is going to require you to be in a minimal uniform. But I think there's a lot of stigmatism around, girls like in pageants, they do things unhealthily to get into shape, which I often find not to be true. I found that the organization has encouraged me to be healthier. But when you said I wanted to do it the healthy way, getting into swimsuit and feeling truly confident on that stage, knowing I did it in the healthy way, I think that's really important. And I'm glad that you said that because it's nice to see a title holder who can be open about that
Yes.
and who can share her journey.
Oh yeah, and to answer your other question, I know that you asked how do you stay motivated and about motivated with tackling a rigorous academic schedule or something. So sorry, I didn't answer that question, but I think it's important as an aspiring dietitian to practice what I preach for sure, because I mean, who's going to come to me for advice if I'm not living it out, you know? So I personally, I think it's important to have a balanced and well-rounded schedule and routine because there are weeks where my schedule is going to be absolutely insane and I'm going to be like, how am I going to get through the week? And I think it's so important to focus for myself to strive for 8 hours of sleep, focus on good nutrition, getting in, fruits and vegetables every day to make sure I'm feeling my best. And I consider myself a gym rat. I love to go to the gym, and I also love to be outside too. So I think it's important to put in physical activity, schedule it in your schedule. But it's even more important than that. It's important to listen to your body and practice self-care. And I think that everybody has realized that during quarantine. Especially the other day, I had a Zoom call at 6 p.m. and I was super exhausted. I had like a really crazy morning and I hadn't had a chance to go to the gym. And so I was like, well, I could either, obviously get on this Zoom call and I could go work out afterwards or get something in right before. But I was so tired. I was like, that does not even sound fun to me. And I never want to push myself to a point where it's like not fun anymore. I want it to be fresh and exciting. So I literally got in my PJs after that meeting, got in my bed and was studying for my exam in my bed and went to bed early. And it was great. I woke up the next morning feeling refreshed and energized. So I think it's definitely important to not stick to a plan so much so that you are exhausted, and go to bed early if you want to, or sleep in a little bit, or skip that workout, or have a cupcake.
Listen to your body. I couldn't agree more. And also the 8 hours of sleep. I need to listen to that advice. Next question.
Yes, I also preach into the choir right here.
Girl, I could like stay up all night. My friends are like, why are you up at 4 a.m.? I'm like, I don't know. Why are you up? Okay. So your talent for the Miss America organization is piano. I want to know when you started learning piano, how you got into piano, and what piece did you perform for Miss Louisiana?
So my mom actually played maybe for two years, maybe when she was like in high school or elementary school, but didn't stick with it. So she always knew that she wanted to encourage me to play. So she put me in lessons when I was 5. And of course I was, at the time I was like, yeah, like that sounds fun, whatever, I was 5. It's a new exciting adventure. And I stuck with it because my mom and in around like elementary and junior high school, I had a lot of different interests. I was one of those people that wanted to try everything. So I was in like softball, basketball, cross country, dance. Like I wanted to try everything, and I couldn't do it all, obviously. But one thing my mom did tell me, she said, okay, well, if you quit piano, then you have to quit everything else. So, because there was a time where I was like, I don't want to do piano anymore. Like, this is just, And she was like, well, if you quit this, you have to quit everything else. And so that, of course, that was the biggest incentive in the world, because I was like, well, of course, I don't want to quit everything else. I love being involved and I love being around people. I know. But I mean, I am thankful that she, gave me that incentive, because I love everything about playing the piano. I love that you can connect with people, or you can have a moment by yourself playing in your room, or you can play in a pretty dress on the stage. I have loved everything about my talent, and I actually played Valse Dramatico. It's a song meaning dramatic waltz, last year for Miss Louisiana 2019. And I actually had a different song prepared for this year. It's called Malagueña. And it was like a fun Spanish style. And it was something that I've never done before, because I was planning on putting an MP3 track with it. So it was a little interesting. I didn't really know how that was going to go, but hopefully this year I'll be able to perform it at some point. But I love it. It's really been the reason why I compete in Miss Louisiana, because of the talent portion. And now that I know more about the organization, of course, I've stayed for other reasons.
I think piano is the coolest talent ever, and I wish I could play. I played as a kid and I gave up on it, and my mom begged me, and then I got into singing. So I'm still musical, but I wish I'd stuck with it.
What your talent was?
What?
I was about to ask what your talent was.
Opera. So it's still musical.
Awesome.
But piano is a different type of discipline, and I think it's the coolest. But I have another question. This is like an extra question that I added because I was stalking you, of course. That's my job. I saw that you're a spinning instructor, and I am obsessed with SoulCycle. Like, I love spinning, and I think spinning instructors are like celebrities, because like after every class, like I want to know like what leggings they're wearing and how do they stay so fit. So I want to know what it's like to be a spinning instructor, because I wish I could do that. I think it's so cool.
Okay, it is the best job ever. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's really been the best. So it's more of like I love to dance and I love fun music. And the studio that taught at, yes, for sure, the studio I taught at was we didn't have any lights on. We had like a blue light, and we did have strobe lights for a little bit of a time, but some people couldn't handle it, which I mean there is like a legit medical reason why we shouldn't have
Oh,
it in
good.
there.
Thanks for saying that, because I would have been like boring. So
Right, right. And then the instructors are actually on like a stage, and we do like a lot of fun dancing movements. So it is a lot of fun, and honestly, it never really felt like I was working out. And I got like a little Britney Spears mic too. I always sung karaoke. I would just sing to all the songs that were playing, and was probably so annoying and and over the top, but it was a lot of fun. So I would say that anybody can do it. It is definitely lower impact than running. So I have scoliosis, and I had a lot of muscular imbalances. I did CrossFit for a little while, and I've developed a lot of muscular imbalances from it because I wasn't strengthening like my smaller muscles, like my glutes and stuff. So I started doing spin, and like all of my problems went away. So I recommend it to anyone. You can do it at any age, and it's all about, it doesn't get easier necessarily, but you just get better at it. So you can learn to add more tension and learn to do all of the fun, complicated movements. So I think I'm a huge proponent of it, obviously.
it's like my dream to become one. Like seriously, I've wanted to do since I was 14. But Courtney, I still have trouble clipping in the bike, and I think that's like
Oh,
probably
yes.
very important. No, like people have had to help me almost every time, and I usually go with my older sister, and she's like, "Why can't you clip in? You're 19 years old." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't know how to do it." So I think that's probably like,
That is probably the hardest part, honestly. And
no.
then getting off.
Oh, that's the worst. Like when they're like stretch time, I like just take off my shoes and leave them in there. So.
Literally, I've done that before as an instructor, so it's okay.
Okay, I'm so glad to know I'm not the only one.
Oh, I'm the biggest klutz, and literally I've made a fool of myself so many times on that bike with like a huge full classroom full, and I just roll with it. I've literally fallen off my bike before, and I was like, just don't do that.
And instructors, they're just like us. People might not know it because I literally think you guys are like celebrities. I'm like, they're so fit. So it's nice to know that sometimes you fall off the bike too, because it happens to me.
Sometimes I don't ever add the tension. I just lose it. Been a really hard day. I'm like, not a workout for me. This is a workout for you guys. I'm
Keep
here to
going, guys. And you're like over there, like sipping on your water, like hair blowing.
Not even breaking a sweat.
I love that. That's the best thing I've ever heard. So, like I mentioned when we first started, you are Miss Louisiana 2020, and you had a very unique crowning ceremony. So I want to know how you found out, first of all, that you were going to be Miss Louisiana 2020. The Miss Louisiana that preceded you, I don't remember her name. What was her name?
Megan Cruz.
Megan, yes.
Yes.
So how did you find out from her that she was not going to be taking a second year? And how did you feel in that moment? Like, what was that news like to you? And also, if you could describe the ceremony that you had, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. So I actually found out Megan was moving before we knew anything about the competitions. So I found out through an Instagram post that she was moving to Kentucky to finish her undergraduate degree. And Megan and I go way back. We actually competed in MLOT together. And so we've known each other since we were 15 and have become really good friends through the organization. And I was so excited for her next adventure. However, I had no idea the news that was about to drop like the next day.
Yeah,
so,
girl.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's so fun, exciting. And then I get a phone call and they're like, oh, Miss Louisiana is postponed until 2021. And I was like, like jaw hit the floor. And so I'm 23 and I actually have 2 more years of eligibility, but this was going to be my last year to compete for sure. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I wasn't going to compete again because I wanted to move forward with my career and I wanted to get married. So you can't be Miss Louisiana as a mistress. So, and I'm just at a different place in my life than I was when I was a freshman or sophomore in college. Knowing that you have your junior and senior year left in college, it's like easy to compete and you already know what you have going on the next year. So I really didn't know what 2021 looked like. So I didn't feel comfortable pushing off my life another year. But anyways, that was all the thoughts that were going through my mind. I was just like, oh my goodness, like what is happening, And I heard a lot of different opinions. Several people were like, well, they may offer it to you since you were the first runner up. And I was like, okay, please, like, let's not talk about that and get my hopes up, And then several people were like, well, you should come back next year. I mean, this has been your dream forever. Like, don't give up on it. And so I just had a lot of different emotions. Anyway, so the secretary of the organization called me or texted me and said, hey, do you have a minute to talk? It was like a Tuesday afternoon. And so
I was actually like, were you like, oh gosh, like, did you know when you got that text? Like,
initially I was like, oh gosh, when did I forget to email her? Because she's the one that's like the liaison between the organization board and the contestants or candidates. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I forget to email or something? But I was like, what does it even matter? Because I already turned in everything and we don't have a competition until next year. And so I was like, what's going on? And so I was actually outside in like a t-shirt and shorts, no makeup, hair in a ponytail, quarantine lifestyle, to the extreme.
girl, yeah.
And so my dad was home. My dad works off and he was home and we were, I don't know, he was teaching me how to change a tire, which I actually did. I actually had a flat tire 2 weeks ago. So I did need to know those skills. But
yes,
yeah.
Courtney's dad. Woo!
Yeah, I know. So he was teaching me how to do that. And I was like, Dad, I need to take a phone call. So I called her, and then she merged the phone call with the executive director and the vice president. And I was like, hold the phone. So that was kind of when I realized that it was about to be offered to me. And I just remember I was walking around my house outside, kind of pacing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, And so I said, yes, of course, I would love to have this opportunity, but what does it look like, And so they just said, okay, well, don't tell anybody. Just tell your parents and talk to them, and we'll regroup tomorrow. And so I, of course, talked to my parents about it, and they were like, well, yeah, hello. And so I called them back, and they said, okay, well, you can't tell a single soul for 2 weeks. So
it's been so hard. You can't even tell Bay. That's like the hardest thing in the world.
It was very hard, but then we released it on Facebook, and then we had like a little press conference ceremony that was during the Miss Louisiana week that was supposed to happen. So it was just so surreal, emotional, because a lot of people, like my family members, were able to come and be a part of the ceremony. And so it wasn't just a ceremony for myself. Like, I wanted it to be a celebration of everyone, because it takes a village. It definitely takes a village and a tribe to get you to where you are. There's a lot of encouragement and people just supporting you along the way. I'm realizing, no, Miss Louisiana is the honor, because that is you spend 95% of your year as Miss Louisiana if you don't win Miss America, and so I think that it couldn't have happened at a better time. And now they're allowing me to finish my master's online, which is usually you're not able to even have time to do that, but thanks COVID. So it's just been amazing. And I really think the only way to describe it is grateful and thankful. And
I mean, that's such a cool story. I just love the uniqueness of it. And you are very young, you're 23, but I do get what you said. This would have been your last year, because you have to move on, you have different career things that you want to take care of, and I see that you're very ambitious. So had this opportunity not fallen into your lap, had God not chosen this for you, you might have missed out on your dream, but now you get to live it and you get to continue your education. So you have the best of both worlds.
I know, it really, I just am like blown away, because actually back in May I had applied for a job and had interviewed, went through like a 3-step process of the interview process. And I was very invested. Like, I knew about the job back in January, and it was from January until May that I was like trying to get this job. And I found out like 2 days before Miss Debbie, the secretary, called me that I didn't get the job of that I had wanted. And so I was just like devastated, so devastated. But then, I mean, a few days later, this opportunity came about, and I never.
Job of a lifetime.
Yeah. And so it just shows that we are not the author of our lives. We may think that we have some control, but we do not have any kind of control. And I think that COVID has showed us that, of
Oh,
course. So it just showed me that the Lord goes before us and he is the author and perfecter of our faith. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to question you anymore.
so I have two more questions for you. My next question is, I want to know all about your platform. Tell me what it is, what it's about, and everything.
So my platform or social impact initiative is Feed the Food Bank. And I have actually been working with the Feeding America nonprofit organization, just being an advocate really for the past 4 years, since 2016 when I first decided to compete in Miss Louisiana. And it's basically just entails me being an advocate for the 1 in 6 people in Louisiana and the 1 in 4 children who are food insecure. So food insecurity basically means you are insecure about where your next meal is coming from. And sadly, some people at certain times of the month are having to decide between paying for rent or life-saving medication or food. I mean, and fortunately, I've never had to worry about where my next meal is coming from, but it absolutely breaks my heart to know that people in my community, because it's such a silent epidemic. I mean, it's definitely in your communities and it does not discriminate. And it just is so heartbreaking to know that some people are going to bed hungry, and even children. I mean, the statistic 1 in 4 children is it's definitely more present in the children in Louisiana. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I just think about them from March to May when school was not in session. Schools provide a third of nutrition that children need. And since some people may have just been going to school and that was the only meal that they were going to get. And I just, it just makes me so sad to know that these children are, during that time and even during the summertime, they may not be getting adequate nutrition. And that is crucial. That is a crucial time for nutrition because you're growing and you're developing in your brain and your muscles and your bones and just everything is so crucial. And during that window of opportunity when you're a child and we're going through adolescence and everything. So anyways, that's just a little bit about my platform. And I just am so excited to be an advocate during this time because I know a lot of people are needing food assistance now more than ever.
I think that is such an important platform, and like you said, it's a silent epidemic. Someone like me, I've also never had to worry about where my next meal is coming from, and the fact that some kids have to look forward to going to school just to receive a nutritious meal is crazy to me. But I can see how passionate you are about your platform, and also you deal with your education about healthy eating and nutrition. So of course you must know that when they do get access to food, most of the time it's not very nutritionally dense because cheaper options are usually the more unhealthy options and the healthy ones are the more expensive ones. But
Exactly.
I think your platform is very important, and like you said, it is silent, but you're raising awareness for it, and I think that is so important for people to know that they're being advocated for. So my last question, thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm so thankful. My last question for you is, Michelle is someone tried to FaceTime me just now, and I will probably kill them. They're my friend. Okay.
Oh, no. Hey, honestly, that's happened to me so many times during while I was teaching spin. Like so many people have called me and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only when I teach spin. And so I have to like decline it super fast.
She never calls me, and the one time she's like, I think I'm going to call
Yes,
talking to Miss Louisiana. Better learn. No, at least people are saying that these interviews don't always go well. We're keeping it honest here, guys. We've got an honest instructor, me who's a mess. Okay, so my last question. My show is called The Silver Lining, which is all about finding positivity in every situation. And I can tell that you're a very positive person, a faith-based person, as am I. And I want to know, what do you think is your silver lining to being a part of the Miss America organization? What has been the best part of it all to you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me as well. I love everything about your initiative to, reach out to women across the nation. I mean, that you're being so bold and putting yourself out there, but also just being so encouraging. And I've really gained from this. And so I love the title too. I love the silver lining, because I feel like that is honestly a life goal of mine, is to always find the silver lining, because no matter what you're going through, you can always find a little bit of the simple joys in life. And I think that's so important, first and foremost. But I guess for me, what I've gained, and this is just simply put, is people, growth, and memories. And I think it's important to realize when you're competing that the glitz, the glam, and the glory of competing, it's all going to fade away at one point in your life. And you will age out at one point, and the crowns will tarnish. Your sash will not be as bright and vibrant and white as it once was.
Girl, that's
And
true.
I think
It
it's
gets
important.
dirty real fast.
Right, yes. All the makeup right here.
Like all the like the tan foundation. You're like, let me just cover
Yes.
that up with a little hair, you know.
Right, yes. And I just think it's important to remember that it's a time and a season in your life, but it will fade away. But the relationships you build, the growth that you gain, and the memories that you make will always, always, always prevail. And you can carry that with you into the next season. And so I think that it's important to remember that we don't necessarily remember the days. We may remember how long they are, but we remember the moments, and the moments that make them amazing. And I think that just competing in the organization has given me so many relationships, like Hope that I was telling you earlier, her entire family, it's given me them, and it's given me the directors, the volunteers that really just invest in this organization and invest in the girl. It has given me those relationships. I know that 2 directors that were my directors in high school are still in my life. I literally call them my pageant daddies, or my uncles, because they don't have children. And literally I ate with them for lunch on Father's Day, because I was like, you are like my dads. Like, you really are like an extension of my family. And so I think that it's important to remember that you don't do it for the glory moments. You do it for the moments when you're in the trenches, when you are a servant leader. I just think that is the makeup of the organization. That's what makes it so amazing, is because of the people that I meet, like you, Juliette. I mean, just it's an opportunity just to make yourself better and to grow through in tenacious moments, because it's not always just rainbows and sunshines.
Definitely not. But I am so thankful for you coming on here. I mean, you are a class act in every way. You are obviously beautiful and talented and very, very smart. I mean, like you said, you go to a university with the word tech in it, and I'm not like at all like that. So I'm like, wow, she's so smart. Not a science person, but I think you're just such an embodiment of what a title holder should be. And as someone who's just starting out as a Miss, it's very inspirational for me to get to talk to women like you, because it shows me what I want to be like. Always gracious, and you took the time to interview with me, who you don't even know, but you were very, very kind since the beginning, and I am so, so thankful, because I know that you're very busy, and I will never forget this. So thank you. You've been wonderful. And guys, if you don't stalk and support Courtney like I do, what are you doing? Obviously, you're irrelevant. Go follow her right now. I'm going to make sure you do. I will put all her social media down below. Courtney, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to all the things that you accomplish. I want to hear you sing one day, and I just know that you are already impacting lives through what you're doing right now. This is so needed and just so authentic and generous, because you're not only, I'm not only giving my time, but you are taking the time to edit this, to write the questions down, to invest in me. So I really appreciate that. And I think that, I don't want that to go unnoticed, for sure. So
thank you.
It's so nice to meet you, Juliette.
And you know that when you post those wedding photos, whenever that is, I will be the first one to comment. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Courtney.